Ludwig van Beethoven, born in Bonn, Germany on the 16th of December in the year 1770. Ludwig van Beethoven was one of 7 children by his parents named Johann and Maria. Unfortunately, Ludwig lost 4 of his siblings to the cold hands of death. Johann, his father, was a musician, and it was he who taught Ludwig to play the piano. However, Johann was a type who liked to drink with his friends, and sometimes in his drunkenness, he would wake Ludwig, who was soundly asleep in the middle of the night, and insist that he played for him and his equally drunk friends. If he didn't do as instructed, his father would beat him till he complied. As at 8 years of age, Ludwig already gave his first public performance, as he had become very good and gifted with the piano. It wasn't long that Ludwig got tutored by his then teacher, who taught him how to compose. Ludwig's teacher was named Christian Neefe. Christian taught him well and also assisted him when he was about to publish his first composition in 1783. This came in a set of different variations of the keyboard. It wasn't long that Ludwig started working under Christian as his assistant. Initially, Christian didn't pay Ludwig until 1784 when he started to pay him. This meant that Ludwig worked 3 years before getting paid. In the middle of all of these, there was a man named Maximilian Friedrich, who observed Ludwig's talent and was ready to support his musical ambitions. Ludwig traveled to Vienna in Austria to seek greener pastures in the year 1786, but his venture was cut short as he had to return home when he heard the news of his mother's failing health. He knew he needed to come and take care of his mother, who unfortunately passed away several months after Ludwig's return. This happened in 1787. This was a sad moment for Ludwig, but what was also sadder was the way his father relapsed into alcohol as a result of the death of his wife. It was really bad that he would get drunk and be found in the gutters. This attracted the police, who would make efforts to arrest him, but would only consider the plea of his children, who would beg that he shouldn't be arrested. As time went by, Johann's health got deteriorated, and Ludwig was forced to take responsibility for the family. He had no choice but to start fending for the family and assumed the position of a father figure. It wasn't long before he also started to dominate everything around the house. He had a controlling father, so it seemed Ludwig had the trait as well. The next 5 years of his life were spent in Bonn, seeing to the affairs of the family. Unfortunately, another tragic occurrence took place as Ludwig lost his father to death in the year 1792. In the years of his staying in Bonn, he began to take some children piano lessons. These children were from a family that belonged to a prominent man named Stefan von Breuning. Another means of financial support also came when Ludwig was given half of his father's salary. This was done for him to be able to support the family. Ludwig didn't stop there. He found other means to further support his family by performing the violin. Over the years, Ludwig grew in this field and he composed meaningful works even though they were not published at that period. In due time, Ludwig's fame grew as a pianist and composer. He was asked to take a job as director of music in Germany in 1808. This didn't go well with his friends in Vienna and did everything possible to get him to stay in Vienna. These friends happened to be wealthy and took it upon themselves to pay him salary annually to dissuade him from taking the job he was offered in Germany. He was offered a huge amount for his annual salary for him to decline the offer to leave Vienna for Germany. How his friends must have liked him. Could it be because he entertained them perfectly well with his expert keynotes? Or was his personality so great they couldn't afford to lose him to Germany? He eventually declined the offer to go to Germany to become a music director and began receiving an annual salary. This made history as Ludwig became one of the musicians to earn a living only on the income they received on music. It was obvious that Ludwig must have been very valuable to his friends for them to insist that he shouldn't leave. This is hugely inspiring. It shows that when you are good at what you do, you will be appreciated for it immensely, that the people you inspire won't want you to leave their lives and will be willing to pay the price to get you to stay. Ludwig was noted to be among friends most times. Now, Ludwig never got married, but we didn't say he never fell in love, because he did. Ludwig began teaching the piano to a prominent woman's daughter. She was a countess from Hungary. This was in 1799. While he taught the ladies, he fell in love with one of them. The lady he fell in love with happened to be the younger daughter of the countess. However, the lady by the name Josephine got married to a count, and it was registered to be a happy marriage. It was, however, rumored that Ludwig composed a letter to Josephine titled Immortal Beloved. Ludwig would continue to visit the home of Josephine even with her married status, and he would continue taking her lessons. Josephine became a mother of 4 children, but eventually lost her husband. This made her closer to Ludwig than ever before. It never grew beyond that, as both never got married. Ludwig continued to grow in his career, and by now he has started to publish his works fully. Ludwig started to leave the management of his business to his brother, who helped him manage it probably well. This began to take a positive turn on his business. His brother Caspar would help him at negotiations and attract high payment for Ludwig's services. It was with his brother's encouragement that Ludwig began to sell his unpublished works. Unfortunately, it came to a point in Ludwig's life that he started to have increased issues with his ears. His hearing had already started to get affected much earlier. However, it seemed to grow worse. In 1802, Ludwig began to contemplate committing suicide. In a bid to accept his fate, he decided to move to a small town outside Vienna in 1802. While there, Ludwig resolved to give the best he could give to his works, even though he couldn't hear. He was ready to give his work all that he has got, and it was recorded that it was during this challenging period that Ludwig made the greatest mark in his career. One would wonder how a deaf man could play the piano and be successful at it. However, it was recorded that Ludwig played his music and heard them in his mind. He took charge of his piano, and even though he couldn't hear it, made a huge success of it. When Ludwig couldn't hear people talk anymore, as long as he could read, he would keep a notebook and urge people to write down whatever information they needed to pass across. The notebooks are still said to be available till date. Whenever he composed and performed, since he had a hearing problem, all he saw were the applause from the pleased audience, and this was good feedback for him. Increasingly, business started to reduce for him, and he stopped playing at concerts. It became worse when he fell sick and needed to be taken around because he couldn't move around by himself. However, he got well only for the illness to come up again. It was really bad, and on an occasion, he almost died. During this time, friends came to visit. However, on the 26th of March 1827, Ludwig gave up the ghost. His liver was said to have been seriously injured, and there were speculations that this was because Ludwig was an ardent drinker. Other health issues were revealed as well. On the day of his funeral, it was said that about 20,000 people were in attendance. The story of Ludwig surely inspires and shows that in spite of challenges, one can still live a life of tremendous success. Isn't it ironic that the best works of Ludwig happened at the time when he became deaf? Not many people can pull through, and a lot would have given up and resigned to fate. We hope that the story of Ludwig inspires you as it did us. Thank you very much for watching our videos. We'd like to give you another interesting video for you to enjoy next. But before then, our team will be very happy if you can like this video and share it with your friends on social media. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss other interesting videos like this. Look at your screen now to see 2 other interesting videos we handpicked for you to enjoy next. We love you.